Verbal and nonverbal communication equals we are always communicating in one of the two. Always? What are you talking about? I'm ignoring him. He's not communicating with me. I'm not telling him a thing. He doesn't deserve it. Are you still communicating? Well, we shall see. Welcome to the Best Years Podcast. This is Dr. Darlene speaking to Generation X and baby boomers who want more. I'll share power, skills, and tools with you to get your mojo back and love your life. My definition of communication is a flow of understanding. So the fact is, we communicate in conscious and observable ways and in nonverbal observable ways. Now I'm going to take it much deeper. I am going to go into like the energy of communication. And in this case, we sometimes communicate in really mysterious ways on the unconscious level because of this flow of understanding that we may not be aware of. There are overt, observable ways to communicate, which is, active communication, using effective communication skills, talking, moving your mouth, saying things. Verbal communication definitions are many. And we can also reflect back, backtracking, listening, and all that kind of stuff. It's overt, it's observable. That means people looking in the window can see you. Well, a covert way of communicating is nonverbal, yet I'm going to go into energetics as well. So covert means you can't see it or even prove it because your eyes can't see it, but it can be felt. So nonverbal, and I'll do a whole nother podcast on just nonverbal, that's about asymmetrical movement, that's a communication, or just a teeny tiny little tip of the head, or leaning forward, matching and mirroring, and all that. I'll do that later. So for today, I'm just talking about the contrast between verbal and nonverbal. And this nonverbal, like I said, can be covert. It's energetic and vibrational. It can be unconsciously implied. And like I say, characteristics of nonverbal are many, but let me give you a couple examples that are so good. I love my examples because they work and they make sense and they're simple and they're a summary. The first day in my college classes, I asked the students to look at each other. And I asked them in a moment to look at each other, shake hands, and just say your name and say, hi, I'm. So you shake your hand, hi, my name is Susie. And the other person says, hi, my name is Jack. So go ahead and do that. Wait. And inside your mind, say, I'm glad you're here. So I messed up. So you're going to shake their hand, say your name, and in your brain, you're going to say, I'm glad you're here. Go ahead. So they turn to their neighbor. They reach out, say, hi, my name is Susie, shake their hand, and in their head they say, I'm glad you're here. And then they come back to the room. How was that for you, everyone? Oh, it was great. We're making friends. Everything's wonderful. And I can see the class, and there's this rapport energetic thing happening where they're all like one piece of happiness, and they're all doing their thing. Now I say, let's experiment on how powerful your thoughts are in communication. Let's just check this out. So can you call this nonverbal? I guess you can, but you can call it energetic. So I say, let's do the exact same thing. But this time, when you shake their hand and say your name in your head, you're going to say, I don't really care about you. I'm actually thinking about other things. Like, what are you saying? Wait, I wish you'd hurry up and say what you're going to say because I've got a lot to say and I don't really care about you. So in their head, they're saying all that. But if you look through the window, they're just shaking each other's hand and saying, hi, my name is Susie. Go ahead, class, try that out. So interesting as I look at my class and observe the different directions and splashes of energy. There's almost a darkness or a wiggly or a splashing energy as I look over the room. They come back to me and I say, how was that? And they go, oh, that was so weird. I go, it was weird. Yeah, they just didn't care about me. Well, how do you know? Because when I was looking at them, they didn't really move differently. I guess they subtly did, and that's the thing about nonverbal communications. There's such subtle movements that can be felt. But based on a thought, you were thinking, I don't really care about you. I don't really want to hear what you're saying. Like, would you hurry up? I don't care. And it made their body act different. And if their body didn't even act different to the naked eye, because I was looking, the energy was different. And they felt differently. Very powerful. What's the punchline, people? Your thoughts are powerful. So when you're communicating with someone and it's hard, here's a trick. I'm raising my hand. I'm saying, oh, let me talk. Let me tell you. I'm standing on a mountain and I'm shouting to you. It's a really cool communication technique to lie to yourself. If you don't like someone, just keep saying, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. And put a little smile on your face. And when you smile, did you know that if you put a smile on your face, dopamine is produced? Hey, that's worth it, isn't it? Just put a little smile. You just are happier. And I've done this myself. I've had company over where, okay, for the most part, I like everybody. God said love everyone, but God never said like everybody. So there's been times when I didn't really like somebody. And I'm sorry, but not everybody do I like to be with. Most, but not some. And this one particular person was coming. And I thought, oh no. So I told myself, girl, when they come, you're going to look at them and you're going to say, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. In my head, over and over and over and over again. And it worked. It was amazing. So your thoughts are powerful. Watch out what you're thinking because it's going to show up non-verbally somehow or energetic. So really, really take some time to think about how cool that is. I'm glad you're here. When your kids are being difficult, I'm so glad I'm your mother. Use that one. Another really cool story. My ex-husband and I, 200 years ago, we were a young couple. We went up the canyon for a nice romantic dinner, and we were sitting there, and I remember I was wearing how cool is this? A leather skirt that was below my knee. It was a long, tight leather pencil skirt. I know, it's kind of weird. It was red. I thought I was so pretty with high heels. And we're in the canyon. And so what do we do now? We go sit by the river, and I hobble in my little high heels, my tight skirt, like Morticia, and I sit on a rock. And we're sitting on a rock looking over the nice river, and we see this little flyby thing. It wasn't a fly, and it wasn't a bee. It was a flyby little creature. And it was carrying a dead spider that was twice its size. Thump, drag, thump, drag, thump, drag. It was very interesting, like, where's that flyby going? Well, we sat there enjoying the atmosphere, and the flyby now was clear over there. So we stood up, and I walked in my little high heels over to the next rock way down there and sat down. And it's still working. It's still a-working, and it's a-working on moving that spider. And we thought, where's it going? And it had been an hour. Little flyby had a task. So we watched it, and all of a sudden, the flyby let go of the spider. And all of a sudden we saw another flyby that was different because it actually had different markings. It came down and picked up the spider. They tag teamed. You guys, I don't know. How did this work? How did they know? And it picked up the flyby. And the recovery guy started pulling the flyby for another 45 minutes. Straight line towards something. And we thought, oh my gosh, how did it communicate? Hey, I've been pulling the spider so far, it's your turn to come. So the other one relieved it. No, how did they do that? I do not know, but I know they were communicating consciously, non-verbally, energetically. So that was so interesting. I could stop the story there for the sake of this podcast, but I just have to tell you how it ends. That doesn't have anything to do with this. So they finally, like another hour, he climbs up on this huge rock, up, 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 and then all of a sudden you saw a bunch of flybees coming out. That must be where he's taking it. There's a place. He knew where he's going. And then a big lizard climbed up on the rock. We're like, oh no. And the lizard looked at the spider being carried by the flyby and went and ate it. all the flybees were freaking out, flying in different directions. Anyway, it's a really sad ending to that story because flybees don't communicate with lizards. So you've got to communicate within your species. In some ways, we can communicate with dogs, but I've never so far been able to communicate with my lizard and tell him to sit, and he minds me. So isn't that an interesting story? We all are communicating more than we know with nonverbal. We're communicating with body language. It's huge, and I'll explain more on another podcast about specifically matching and mirroring. Like I said, it's interesting. So in what you're learning now is, what are you thinking when you're communicating? It's so huge. And it's about the meanings and how someone interprets and what you're saying. They're going to tell, but they can't prove it. It shifts into unconscious movement, etc. So, moving on past that, let me look at this because this is really important, that you self-monitor what you're thinking. You've got to self-monitor. Am I being stinky in my thoughts? Now, when it comes to nonverbal communication, what's texting? Have you ever texted someone and they didn't answer you? Hate that. Well, if you're dating and you're just getting to know each other, let me just tell you a few things of what a few things mean. Now, I made this up, and I usually make up really good things. Usually, so let me know what you think. Is if you're texting someone you're dating, let's say, and they don't text back, it means, you know what it means? It means no. Do you want to go get coffee? That means no. They didn't answer. Another thing is if they say, I'm too busy. Now, this is verbal because it's text. It's kind of the same thing. Reading a text is ish like verbal without as much information. So, I'm too busy equals no. Do you want to go get coffee? Oh, I'm really busy. That means no. Or if they say, I'm not ready for a relationship. Well, that means no. So, there's all sorts of ways we communicate verbally and non-verbally. Oh my gosh, there's so much to say. It was really hard to squish this down into a short podcast with all I know. So I've got like 5 or 10 of them that I'm doing in this next few weeks, so catch them all. But for now, verbal and non-verbal can be through texting, and it can be through so many ways we just don't imagine. We are always communicating. Different than you may think. And texting, again, is a whole new subject. And now that you understand more about how to communicate in conscious and observable ways, and sometimes we communicate in mysterious ways of energy and unconscious, you just know it's a flow of understanding. But how do we do that? We're not sure. It's nice to know more information is better than less. So, hope this helped you and you're able to subscribe, push the like button, give me feedback, comment. I love your feedback, and I hope this is a great day for you in communicating through what you're thinking about them. Have a great day. Talk soon. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to my channel so we can hang out. Also, go to www.whatstopsyou.com for notes to this podcast and learn more power skills to indeed live the best years of your life.